Hi, my name is Erica Jones, and you are watching the Archetypal News Network. I am a counseling astrologer and a practitioner of mystical arts and metaphysical healing. You'll find my work at realimaginal.com, looking at the planetary aspects, the aspects in the sky at this time. We have a really close Mars-Venus conjunction. Mars, the principle of action, the warrior, the part of us that pursues, that has a willingness to compete and to fight for what it believes in. Mars is like an activist sort of principle, very energetic, very willful, very identified with the ego, is quite a counterpart to the planetary energy of Venus. So they're forming a conjunction in the sky. They're in the same part of the sky right now. And Venus is more about being receptive, being alluring, attracting, seeking harmony, balance, very often considerate of the other and how actions impact others. And when Mars and Venus come together, it's quite a dynamic combination because it's sort of a blending of pursuit and being pursued. You'll see it frequently in the charts of artists, people who make art for a living. And sometimes, it really depends on the whole chart, but for some it can show up as fighting, Mars, for making a living from your art, Venus, fighting for your money. Venus speaks to reciprocity, the exchange of things, and in that way it can be related to money and to our colleagues as well, allowing us to see into some interpersonal dynamics, perhaps in new ways. Maybe it's a little more feisty than we can get a handle on. It could be that it's more of an exposure of dynamics that needs time to digest and to reflect on what's being dredged up to the surface, to be made explicit, to actually see and name things that haven't been named or seen, or perhaps in a particular way have been swept under the rug in a mutual agreement to not discuss certain things, or perhaps one party has been to a conflict or a discussion, has been noticing this for a while and really wants to address the situation and to stop beating around the bush, as it were. The Venus-Mars conjunction is also in a loose conjunction with the planet Pluto, which is such a transformative component of the cosmic web of life, let's say. And Venus-Mars-Pluto conjunction, probably quite a few of us, particularly in the last week, have experienced encounters with the topics of betrayal and trust, pursuit at all cost, also what it means to actually pursue something that we want. Those are all things that could be very prominent in our lives right now, and take some time to sort of resolve, to make sense of whatever is being churned up. It is a very interpersonal aspect, I would say, to the extent that we are working things out in our own inner world. There's quite likely to be a component of having to actually face the music with other people, or bring something forward to another person to act more assertively than perhaps we're used to. And this feeling kind of edgy, maybe being a little scary for some of us. For others, there might be the thrill, the excitement of discovering, wow, actually I do have it in me to broach difficult topics and to have important conversations that shape my life and shape the lives of those around me, or the relationships that mean the most to me, or perhaps the stuff that our livelihood really depends on is on the line right now, in terms of having to assert one's will and to find a graceful way to do it. I can say that this combination isn't by itself terribly graceful. Pluto often bringing a lot of compulsivity and a lot of, again, like bringing up from the depths what just hasn't been discussed. But quite often it's there, It's sort of like, oh, yeah, we know about this. We just have chosen not to talk about it. Jupiter, the planet of benefit, of good times, good fortune, of expansion, of possibility, that the part of the cosmos that actually does know how to create larger wholes from disparate parts. It has a facility with what is foreign and what is diverse and different, and being able to synthesize or at least respect differences enough to bring together and what can be, where connections can be made. And Jupiter, that planetary energy, is making a very dynamic square aspect to this Mars-Venus conjunction most closely, but also bringing in that Pluto. And with that, I do think that recognizing that any sort of dynamism in our personal lives with respect to, particularly our intimate relationships or our friends, groups of friends, associates, work colleagues particularly, that as if there's any sort of process of working through deepening connection or addressing issues of trust and betrayal, it's just going to take time for that healing to happen or that new understanding to kind of come through. Jupiter brings benefit. It brings every possibility of success, but allowing for time, that square aspect, that there might be some misalignment in how quickly one party or the other wants to move, and allowing for things to unfold at the pace. I want to say the pace of the slowest part, but honestly, a lot of us are going to be pressed for time looking at the total cosmic picture, and a bit of an argument in ourselves or within the situation about how quickly can we move, how quickly do we move to resolve or to address whatever is coming to light. There's a quote from a man in Germany during World War II, and he was a dissident. His name's Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and he observed many horrors in his life, and his writings were preserved. And there's this quote from him that I think is a good one to take into consideration under this Venus-Mars conjunction, which was exact on February 21st, but is unfolding over the next week or so. And he noted, quote, "The person who loves their dream of community will destroy community. But the person who loves those around them will create community." So being in love with an ideal, a concept, a dream of what I want community to be, what I wish that it would be, that can be very destructive. And his witness during World War II in Germany, that's where what that emerges from, is there's this ideal of this is how community should be or look like. And the antidote to that, from his perspective, is loving those who are around them. That's what creates community. It's a powerful sort of reflection to carry with us. Now, another dynamic that we have going as well is the conjunction of Mercury and the Sun and Saturn. So Mercury is our mind, our communicative capacities. It's our ability to make sense of things, to conceptualize, of just talking about how does our concept fit reality? How can that change or shift to accommodate new developments, the evolving landscape of our lives, of our planet? And Mercury being the conceptualizer, the one that makes it possible for us to get across ideas to others, to create connection through verbal means, through the capacity for language. Makes a conjunction to the Sun quite frequently. This happens quite frequently, so it's not an infrequent occurrence. However, what is very infrequent is a conjunction of those two, Mercury and the Sun being the sense of self, a very centering force in the cosmos, the sense of having a center and radiating out from that center, the conscious self psychologically, the egoic self, or how we want to be seen, is very much described by the Sun. And what is uncommon is Sun, Mercury, and Saturn making all an exact conjunction at the same time on February 28th. Sun-Mercury-Saturn could be some tense or difficult conversations, or a reckoning with the conversations that have happened earlier. Also can be just a sharpening of one's critical faculty of taking a second look at something, of paying respect to something. And I like to think of that word respect. Re, to do something again, spect, to look. If I respect something or someone, I'm going to take another look. Could be a time of reassessing and just looking closely, scrutinizing. It's a very methodical approach. On the other side, approach to thinking, very methodical approach to thinking. On the other side of that, as an influence, it can also signal repetitive thoughts, kind of being caught in thought loops, which could be very unpleasant, not fun at all. And so one way to channel that would be the memorization of poetry. Singing, I cannot more highly recommend, particularly for anyone who suffers from anxiety or tendency to panic attacks. Singing, when we're singing, we actually can't panic. I think that's an interesting thing about the singing species of the human being, where it's Mercury-Saturn is that recitation from memory of words, and they can be quite comforting. Mantra is another way to take that sort of repetitive energy and to turn it towards something that could be very supportive and help bring calm, so that there's clarity of mind. Because that's one of the nice things about Mercury-Saturn, is an ability to kind of cut through the shit if you don't fall too far over into pessimism, because pessimism is also a distortion. It can be a very diluted way of seeing reality. Can also be very realistic, just completely depends on the scenario, the context in which we're operating. If pessimism is crushing all hope, that may also serve kind of a purpose of breaking through, to grieve properly, to release something in order to open up to what is actually happening, to a new reality, to see a way forward, and to see more clearly what can be done and what is just not possible. Sun-Saturn conjunctions are oftentimes as well when we're reminded of our obligations, our duties, our responsibilities. That thing that I've been postponing for so long can, pop right to the surface and become something urgent. That's it. That's what I've got. And I hope that it is of service to you in the coming weeks. Again, my name is Erica Jones, and you're watching the Archetypal News Network. I'm a counseling astrologer. I also offer mystical arts and metaphysical healing at realimaginal.com, at my website. May all beings benefit everywhere without exception.